Welcome to the Saga Lands, part of the Where in the World series here at Cardinal Adventures. You've probably noticed that this video is a lot shorter than my older Where in the World series. Since I announced that I am going to be kicking off my audiobook project soon, hence the new mic, snap, the old method seemed a bit redundant. Instead of reading word for word from the World Guide for this series, I will be giving an overview of each region, its parts, and then my takeaway and opinions on each topic covered. But enough of that. Let's begin. One of the oldest civilizations, before Earthfall of course, is within these lands. But I can assure you, there are many reasons to run an adventure here, have your character originate from here, or even just visit. A great deal of ancient knowledge, magics, runes, and mysteries are here. Oh, and lots of snow. Witches and, unfortunately, snow witches. The overview. The Saga Lands are comprised of 5 nations: Irrisen, the land of the Linnorm kings, New Thassilon, the realm of the Mammoth lords, and Varisia. Due to the diverse nations within the Saga Lands, many types of people reside here. We've got Aslanti, Dwarven, Elven, Goblin, Gnome, Kelid, Shoanti, Taldan, Tien, Ulfin, and Varisian. When it comes to the factions, you would likely come across members of the Firebrands, the Pathfinder Society, or if you're in the wrong alleyway or neighborhood, the Cesarni. The most common deities that are revered within these lands are Abadar, Caden Kaleen, Desna, Gorum, Lamashtu, Nocticula. Interesting. The primary resources that the Saga Lands provide are alcohol/drugs, armor/weapons, books/lore, cheese, fruit, grains, jewelry and gems, livestock, hides, lumber, magic items, ore, and ships. The history. Way back in -5293 AR, Thassilon was destroyed in Earthfall. In 3313 AR, Baba Yaga came to Golarion and founded Irrisen. In 4407 AR, Chiliax founded Korvosa in southern Varisia. 4584 AR, pissed off after over 100 years of Chilaxian rule, many citizens left Korvosa, traveled west, and founded the City of Monuments, known as Magnamar. 4608 AR, even more citizens leave Korvosa for Magnamar. 4613 AR, Elvana becomes Queen of Irrisen. 4708 AR, King Eadrid dies, leaving poor Korvosa in the hands of Queen Iliosa, who of course leads the city into a time of plague and cruelty. F's in the comments section below for Korvosa, please. 4709 AR, a star crashes just south of Riddleport, causing a tsunami that drowns most of the city. And to top it off, Drow just started popping out of the woodworks, which hadn't been seen in hundreds of years. 4718 AR, Runelord Alaznist emerges out of nowhere and begins to damage the flow of time and threaten reality itself. Thank God there were some meddling adventurers around who eventually took her down. Later that year, New Thassilon is founded by yet another Runelord. The Nation of Irrisen. Eternal winter, mysterious spellcasters, talking animals, a land of magic and wonder, a place where children are raised with parables for good behavior, lest the winter witches that rule the land snatch them away and feed them to the queen of witches herself, Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga, a mysterious creature who came from an unknown world and took over most of what was formerly the lands of the Linnorm kings, killing all who resisted her or stood in her way. It only took her a mere 23 days to take over, and by whatever magical means she had at her disposal, has kept the land in an eternal winter ever since. What was most odd, however, was that as soon as she took over, she left the nation in the hands of one of her witch daughters. And every 100 years, Baba Yaga would sit on the throne just before handing it off to another one of her new witch daughters. This cycle repeated 13 times over until her 14th daughter, Elvana. Elvana was devious enough to trap Baba Yaga upon her return and was about to spread the eternal winter magic across all of Golarion if it wasn't for the band of those meddling adventurers. But since then, Queen Anastasia rules over Irrisen, and she is the first ruler of Irrisen who is not a witch. Oh, and thanks for the snowball spell, Irrisen. Much appreciated. The lands of the Linnorm kings. If you have ever wanted to make a Viking character, look no further than the lands of the Linnorm kings. Frozen marshlands, longships to sail the seas, raiding coastal lands for supplies, rocky tundras, rugged hills, tangled forests, and monsters. Fae, trolls, giants, undead, and Linnorms. Primordial dragon creatures that don't have wings yet can still fly. To pair it off, a bite that can leave you with a curse for the rest of your life. But if you ever wish to rule a kingdom within these lands, you must seek a Linnorm out, confront it, and kill it in combat. It is considered the highest honor in these lands to do so. There was one king who some would consider even mightier than the prior rulers, King White Estrid, who actually managed to subjugate a Linnorm and take it into her service. You heard me right. The title of king can belong to a man or a woman in the lands of the Linnorm kings. There is even a non-Ulfin human, Nanko, who slayed a Linnorm and claimed his newfound Ulfin title. New Thassilon. If you don't know who Runelord Karzug is, you need to play the first adventure path of Pathfinder, The Rise of the Runelords. But no worries, there are groups on Reddit that have converted it to 2nd edition for you. But if you don't have the time or the means to do that, I highly suggest listening to Paizo's audio drama of Pathfinder Legends, Rise of the Runelords. You can listen to it on Spotify or get it on paizo.com for a few bucks. It is a fully voice-acted, combat sound specifically for each moment. It is simply a joy to listen to. I say this because Runelord Karzug is the nemesis, or BBEG, Big Bad Evil Guy, of the entire story. Runelords were the first arcanists, a hybrid of sorcerer and wizard. Absolute power. To imagine that your group of adventurers in Pathfinder can become strong enough to not only fight, but defeat a Runelord really shows the scale and potentials of heroes within Golarion. But I digress. Through Karzug's defeat, the ancient lands of Thassilon were resurrected. This, of course, threw the neighboring lands and countries into a panic, because Karzug was one of the 7 Rune Lords to return from their stasis. Rune Lord Alaznist was going to bring Golarion into an age of wrath and pain. The adventuring party that was to confront her needed help to bring her down because she was so powerful. And wouldn't you know it, they got help from another Rune Lord to defeat Alaznist, Rune Lord Sorshen, whose patron was Nocticula. The realm of the Mammoth Lords. A land that is seeing some semblance of peace for the first time in hundreds of years. This realm is home to what most would call barbaric nomads. The Khelids that dwell here stand proud, believing that their ways of life have not only stood the test of time, but in many ways defeated it. And from their vantage point, I would have to agree. The world wound now closed, Irrisen no longer attacking under the new rule of their queen, the orcs of Belkzen to the south refusing an alliance with Tar-Baphon, and the frost giants retreating north into the mountains. But are these victories a long time coming? Or is someone or something waiting for them to get just a little too comfortable? Varisia. Last, but definitely not least in this lineup, Varisia has had its tragedies, but it has also had its fair share of epic heroes. When it comes to Varisia's tragedies, we need to look no further than Korvosa. If you couldn't tell earlier in the historical breakdown of the Saga lands, it featured many of the happenings within Korvosa. Most of Varisia houses 2 types of humans, the Varisians, which are the nomadic types, and the Shoanti, which are the primitive settlers. Chiliax founded Korvosa on top of an ancient sacred Shoanti pyramid. And like many stories in the United States of America, the Chilaxian colonizers eventually just shoved out the Shoanti and pushed them back all the way to the Cinderlands. As I stated before in the history section, Queen Iliosa came to rule Korvosa, and thousands died during her rule. She even helped spread a disease known as blood veil. Thank God it wasn't too long before she was eventually slain. On the brighter side of Varisia, although not always bright, there are epic heroes who have changed the course of history 3 times over. It all starts just a hop, skip, and jump away from Magnamar, in the humble town of Sandpoint. This small town has been the origins of 3 legendary groups who have at one point saved all of Golarion. Backgrounds. Speaking of humble beginnings, let's talk backgrounds. First up, the Mammoth Speaker. This one is for a native of the realm of the Mammoth Lords, in case it wasn't obvious, and would want to eventually ride a mammoth for themselves. Be sure to check out the World Guide for more rules on riding extremely large creatures like a mammoth. I would suggest rolling up a druid or a ranger to really round out this build. Next, we have the Shoanti Namebearer. This one is for a player who wants to try and play a young Shoanti who was just given their adult name and is about to journey and adventure the world of Golarion. I would suggest a spiritual instinct barbarian to really round out this kind of build. Next, we have the Thassilonian Traveler. Along with the Rune Lords, you have also come out of a stasis and are trying to remember or adapt to the new world in front of you. many Thassilonians had arcane innate gifts. So I would definitely roll up an Imperial Sorcerer to round out this build. Next, the Ulfin Raider. This is for that pure Viking character I was mentioning earlier. I would highly suggest a human with a Viking ancestry and heritage, or ancestry feats, to really round out this build. Next, the Varisian Wanderer. This is for all you gypsies out there who live life to the fullest. The obvious pick here is a bard, but I would challenge you to try a cleric or champion of Desna for this build. Next up, the Winter's Child. This one is for all you ice witches out there. The clear pick is Witch, but if you're a newer player, I would suggest a Scoundrel Rogue to really play into the royalty side of things, or an Elemental Sorcerer who primarily focuses on cold magic and ice. Last but not least, the Witch-Wary Background. This is for people who have been tricked or have been told most of their childhood the many tricks that witches can perform. I would challenge this player to make a superstitious barbarian for this build. It's tough, but it has an amazing flavor to it. Runescarred Dedication. The rune magic of Thassilon and its descendant nations has left its mark on your very flesh. As a Runescarred, you have an unusually close connection to this ancient magic, which has become a newly emerging field of study for small pockets of interested scholars in both Varisia and New Thassilon. This archetype pairs amazingly with the Thassilonian Traveler / Imperial Sorcerer combo, the Sorcerer combo I mentioned earlier, or anyone else from the Saga lands, for the free archetype system, of course. If those last 3 words sounded a bit off to you, I need to meet with you after this video or with your GM. The free archetype variant rule in the Game Mastery Guide is a must. You know how to contact me. Just hop on my Discord. Wait, you're not on my Discord? In this description below, go join. It's free. Back to what I was saying. This archetype is great to help add some utility spells to your kit. At least I would suggest utility spells. Especially if you aren't a spellcaster. You need that 3rd level haste as a martial fighter or a martial character? Too easy. You need an armor rune? Yep, literally etched into your skin eventually, whether you have armor on or not. You need a bonus to saves against a certain type of spell school? Too easy. If I had to rate this archetype, I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. I love free utility. Thanks for joining me in the Saga Lands journey today. Do you like the new format of the videos? Chat with me in the comments below, let me know, or on the Discord. Either way, I will see you all in the next video. Take it easy.